I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales. Today, we're going to talk about creating your own brand. We're joined by Garth Wall from Bentley Mazda in Las Vegas. But first, let's give you what I think is the ultimate example of creating your own brand. Here's a quick little video.
Hey gang, if you want to get the best value for your buck, you got to go to Bentley Mazda. That's Got Garth. Hashtag Got Garth. You know why? Because the $1 Million Man says so. You know why? Because everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
That's right. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. Today, we're joined by Garth Wall from Bentley Mazda. Garth, that's a perfect example. And it's, talking about wrestling with sales. How do you take some pro wrestling phrases, pro wrestling ideas, and bring them over to a sales realm? I hadn't done this yet. I've been doing this for about a year. What better example than everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man? That's
right.
Awesome. You got the $1 Million Man himself there.
Man, it was a perfect storm. But first off, Joe, thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate you taking the time to have me on.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a perfect storm. I'm lucky enough. I relocated from California out here to Vegas, and was lucky enough to make the acquaintance of a young lady by the name of Cody Smith, who wrestling fans might know is Aurelian Smith's daughter, who goes by the stage name of Jake the Snake Roberts, my idol. He's on my Mount Rushmore.
Sure.
And she was representing both $1 Million Man and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So my store sponsored a road trip. So I spent a day with them. We did a road trip to LA and back in one day, and they did their stand-up comedy and recorded a bunch of gifts at a studio. So I got to spend the driving to the guys I grew up watching. It was kind of surreal, but Ted was more than happy to put together that little promo for me, and I've gotten my use out of it. Trust me. I didn't even want to make him do a second take. I was okay that he messed up my hashtag. I was good with it.
Hey, one's good enough. Now, you're selling Mazdas at Bentley Mazda in Las Vegas.
Correct.
And you've done a job, something I've talked about, and lots of trainers have talked about. How do you create your own brand? Because the cars are the cars. Every dealership can sell a car, and in all
Correct.
honesty, even though every brand tells you that they make the absolute best car in the world, well, not everybody can make the absolute best car in the world. And if you sell used cars, you realize pretty quickly, oh, hey, they're really all pretty similar. So in a way, the dealership, and to an even greater degree, the salesperson, can really make the difference and make somebody decide, hey, I'm in the right place. It's the right time. This is the right person. Let's go. And you've been able to take something that's an interest, a hobby, and with the other show that I do, Las Vegas Wrestling Scene Confidential, something that's booming in the Las Vegas market with the pro wrestling.
Big time.
There's 5 or 6 different groups. You're able to really kind of take ownership of that community and use it to help. One, it's something you're interested in, people that you support, but it also helps you because you're able to have a trusted audience for your sales.
Absolutely. It's been a perfect storm, but like you said, I work here in the Valley, here in the Las Vegas Valley. There's 3 Mazda stores. Someone can drive to all 3 of them, in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. So if I have the same car as the guy down the road, I have to stand out in that crowd. I have to differentiate myself. And I try to do it. And I've been doing this 28 years, not to age myself.
Okay.
Not too bad. But it really does, the wrestling community is such a tight-knit. We refer to each other out here as the fam. That's just what we refer to each other as. We're the family out here. And I've been blessed to have them open their arms to me, and I put my logo on everything. I have my own hashtag. We've started our own group out here. We're known as the Syndicate. One of the promotions has actually written us into the storyline. We're the owners, so we get into the ring and we suspend people and do whatever they need us to do. We're the
Okay.
bad guys.
Which
So
group is that?
that would be Versus Pro.
Versus.
Pro
Okay.
Wrestling. Yep, Versus Pro Wrestlers. You see the syndicate jersey. We are, part ownership. So me and my partner Brandon Case, who also works with me there at Finley Mazda, we just, like I said, we've been blessed that I just had a couple fans come in and see me this past weekend. Anybody develops car problems, they know. Everybody just starts throwing my name out there. They know where to go, and we just help them out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of second generation wrestlers out there, and I just got done talking to Jenny Santana a little while ago. You're a second generation in car sales, is that right?
I am. Kind of skipped a little bit, but yes. My grandfather, Roy E. Wall, was the TV spokesman for Iverson Motors in Santa Maria, California. He was No Money Down Roy Wall.
Okay.
And I cut my teeth under him when I was 14. I got my first experience in the car business, and it was March of 1994 was when I got my sales license, just shortly after my 18th birthday, 28 years ago, and I haven't looked back since.
Okay,
It's
so
just,
you've been able to go through multiple generations of the car sales dynamics, right? Because
yes,
when
it has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, when I started in car sales, it would have been in 2002, after I had done morning drive radio. I had been a buyer for Nordstrom's, worked as a casino manager, casino sales manager. So it was a really weird dynamic to go into a car dealership. But that was right before internet sales came in, and you would have been in that generation too. In the 90s, you almost had heel salesmen, because you'd have salesmen that would stand out front of the dealership and just randomly yell at somebody, "Hey, hi, hey, good to see you. Man, thanks for coming to your appointment," and go walking out. And they didn't have an appointment. They were just greeting the person and trying to convince you that it was their appointment.
The best move ever was taught to me by one of my great mentors, Leroy Strong. Great name for the car business.
Sure.
He said, you stand, when you stand on the parking spots, everybody has a spot. You step about 3 steps back, and when a car pulls in, you just throw your hand up and you wave. You don't say anything. People's natural reactions is to wave. And you walk through everybody else. Oh yeah, here's my people. You walk up. How you doing? What's your name? So Kelly Blue Book was something your used car manager carried around in his back pocket. Only he could decipher. Now everybody's got a computer. Yep. Everybody's an invoice specialist. We've gone through the phases where people said, "Oh, dealerships have 2 sets of invoices. One they show customers, one that's." So, and before Yelp, I watched sales guys absolutely torch people.
Sure.
Just there was no Yelp, there was no Google reviews.
No.
I watched salespeople. Lou Santolo, a guy I grew up in the business with, we called him the Human Torch, because he would just pull off the flamethrower and just light people up, and they're like, how? But you can't do that anymore. Now, if you don't open the door for them, you get 5 bad reviews. But you have to adapt.
I like I wrestled in high school and college. I like the swim move. Put your hand on the inside shoulder of the person, turn them around, and keep walking. My God, if somebody did that at a dealership now, it would start a screaming, "What? Huh?" But back then it was like, "Hey, okay, yeah, you got me. Let's go do it again." So it's a different generation. But that was before the internet. You used to walk 8 miles a day at the dealership and just circle the lot until you had a customer. It just
no one had computers
happen anymore.
The only computer in the store was at the tower, and then you had the line printer, that damn in finance. It took forever, and then when that went down, everything was done. You couldn't do anything because you can't handwrite anything.
No, you needed the dot matrix to go.
Now you walk into a store. Our store looks like you walk into Starbucks. You got 6 salesmen sitting at a table, 6 different laptops going, phones out there. I mean, I've got my. I mean, this thing has changed the car business like no before. I mean, I have two different numbers. We just started a new program, the Go-To app. I've got an extension on my phone that rings through to my cell, and it's
Uh-huh.
attached to the phones at the store. So if I need to transfer someone, I can do it right from my. I could be sitting at the bar having a beer. Someone calls me. Oh, I need to talk to parts. Hold on.
Yeah.
The old days, you'd have to hang up, call the store. It just e- e- everything. The whole mindset um, has changed in automotive sales, and I think really the biggest changes since the crash in '08 have been within the last 2 years with COVID and the inventory shortage and the shutdown. All that it has the as a great wrestler once says, the cream rose to the top. A lot of people have bailed out, and those of us that have been around, we've seen all the different changes. So we're going to stick with it.
Yeah. That's a good point, because here, let me ask you this. Have you been selling cars to people out of state? They've been reaching out to
All the time.
Well,
All the time.
you see up in the upper corner of the screen, our friends at Montway Auto Transport, they actually do have a question for all the auto dealers. Hey, do you know where your vehicles are and when they'll arrive? I know the inventory management challenges that dealers are facing. So I'm certain right now the answer is a resounding no. You just don't. I mean, you're waiting for them to get there. But Montway Auto Transport can change your answer to a confident yes, in the spirit of Brian Danielson. Yes, yes, yes. With the Montway Automotion Portal, better known as MAP. MAP offers a smarter way to move and manage orders while giving you end-to-end visibility of all inbound and outbound units. You can upload VINs, get pricing, dispatch the orders, and track every unit on the dashboard. Leveraging MAP can save you time and money and get vehicles to your lots quicker to sell. With MAP, you can book, track, and manage your inventory from one revolutionary platform. See MAP in action at www.montway.com/map. Write it down, www.montway.com/map, and put your dealership on the map. And if you missed it, like I said, the logo's right up in the top corner there, Montway Auto Transport, because they can help you do those out-of-state deals, which is another thing that's changed. And like you said, Garth, the last years it's been totally different. And you can choose how you see things, right? You can choose, hey, am I looking at it as a negative that we're selling
I
air,
hear
we're
it
selling
daily.
cars month in advance? Or is it a positive? Because really, if you're able to figure out a way to get yourself over, you're probably making more money than you've ever made in your life. And you're more important to the customers now and can actually offer help more than ever. When every dealership had 450 cars on the ground, and anyone that wanted to look at a Mazda CX-5, a Mazda CX-50, a
We
Toyota
didn't miss a
Corolla,
beat.
Camry, there's
Our
50 of
store's
them. You could
numbers
go
never.
anywhere. Yeah. But now you're more important, because you can actually be of assistance. You can provide a service. People are asking for help, I think, more than at any point since the era we were talking about before the computers were really a factor.
Yeah, it's the ability to maintain that even keel, and that's the thing. Customers are coming in today. Um, some of them are burnout with the everything's done online, the Amazon way of doing things, and the cookie cutter experience. They want you to just show basic human emotions that look, this is what you're looking for, let me help you find it, and we're good to go. And that's the key. It's providing a service, and it's differentiating yourself. And if you were smart through this whole thing, you were able to build your pipeline. You had the people that came in that you could instant gratification, but you started building that pipeline going down. And I mean, I just emptied mine. Finally, just emptied yesterday. All my pre-solds came in and went out, but that's why I was at the store from 8 a.m.
Yeah.
till 9 o'clock last night and did 4.5 cars because I was just getting rid of stuff that came in off the truck.
But it'll re-rack because there's like in the last 3 years there's like 10 million less cars that have been made than would have been made normally.
Yep.
And what we really were talking about too is building that community, building that network. Yours happens to be pro wrestling in a community
Correct.
with active pro wrestlers, but I mean, everybody has some sort of community. Everybody has some sort of tie-in. Maybe your daughter plays fast pitch softball. Maybe your son's on an amateur wrestling team. Somebody
Absolutely.
plays tennis, football, whatever. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I would go to wrestling tournaments, and there's 50 schools and all the parents, and it's hours and hours and hours. And there's time there. There's areas where you can reach people and create a difference, and it's easier than ever with all the social medias. I know you have your own social media tag now, don't you?
Correct. Hashtag got Garth. That's where people can follow. You're going to see either a picture of a customer with a car if you're on Instagram, or a picture with wrestlers with my little gimmick that I got popular with. But to go back to what you're saying, like you're saying, the groups, you're already within that group. You know, you're already a trusted, a knitting circle, your people at church, soccer team. But you're already a part of that. You're already probably going to these people's house. You're having dinner. That if they trust you to come into their home, they're probably going to trust you for to give them advice. So those are the people you want to market. Let those people be your promoters. Let the people that are around you every day in that atmosphere be the ones. Make sure they have your business cards. Order tons of business cards. Make sure all of your friends that are around you have business cards in their car.
And know what you do.
Starts to come. That's it. The worst thing that can happen, is standing there on a Saturday and you watch a salesman walk through the door, and who's in tow? Someone from one of your groups.
Yeah.
The parents from one of your kids' soccer games, a friend from church, the guy that lives next door to you, or so, you're like, wait a minute, what? Or coming home and seeing a car parked, across the street, your neighbor that you have barbecues with, you talk to all the time.
The other brands. Yeah.
But okay, so maybe they decided to go with their brand, but you weren't even part of the conversation.
Yep.
It wasn't even, hey, I'm going to buy a car. It was, look at wait a minute. What? How? Why are you not part of that conversation? And that's the thing. Everybody needs to know. You almost want to stamp it on your forehead. I sell cars. So everybody wants to talk to you about it. So you've got to put yourself out there as many ways as you can.
Well, and here's something where I think I just think there's a lot of crossovers between wrestling, pro wrestling, and sales, because out of your professional athletes, who has to sell themselves, their personality, their image, their style more than anybody? And the people who are successful with it, it crosses over to everywhere. If you say to be the man, you've got to beat the man. Everybody knows you're talking about Ric Flair. They just do.
That's exactly it.
The Rock is now the biggest actor in the country, in the world. And he
hell
did
of a transition.
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? The Philadelphia Phillies, after they won Game 1 of the World Series, did you see what they were doing in the dugout?
The scissor-me.
They were doing the scissor-me of the Acclaimed. You can do that. You can do something to get yourself over to your customer base. You can be a sales entertainer, because if you don't generate some level of emotion, something to make somebody connect with you, something to make somebody remember you, then all you are is what they thought about you when they came in. You're the
order taker,
weasel, idiot looking to rip me off and sell me the wrong car. A stupid lion, weasel, idiot. You don't want to be that. You want to be the guy that they like. Man, that was great. I can't believe the experience I had. And that's why,
Create relationships.
That's why you get the Dealership Rescue Championship Idea of the Week, the Sales Entertainer Award of the Week. Ah, look at that. You got your own. And then here, let's show you really taking ownership of that with, I believe this is something from.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Is that Garth? Is that? Oh! Chair to the head from Garth. What is happening here at you?
Now, you can't really do that at the car dealership.
No, they kind of frown on it. The HR kind of, I think it will end in an HR meeting. But outside of that, that was actually at a big event last year called Unicon. And Unicon will actually be coming back this year. It's actually next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the World Market Center. And myself and my partner, Brandon Case, we are actually sponsoring a sports lounge and bar that's going to be located within Unicon that will have all of our logos, all of our Mazda stuff there. And one of us will be there all 3 days to answer questions, hand out business cards, merchandise, anything that we can to create that conversation and show people. And it's not just a wrestling, and this is a sports memorabilia. I mean, they had everything last year. And last year we were a small part of it, but this year we decided to take a bigger bite. And you've got to spend money to make money. So unfortunately, the World Market Center is out of my store's AOR. So therefore, that Mazda will not reimburse the store for it. So where does the money come from it? Out of my pocket personally and out of Brandon's pocket personally. We invest that money and we get it back. And we get it back through being out there in the community, being the ones that they call when they need something. So you got to invest in yourself. And that's one thing that I, like everything here, I've taken this community. They've really, brought me in, and I want to thank them for that, because it's allowed me to take care of my family. And it really, when it comes down to it, it's how we keep the roof over our head and the gas in the gas tank to keep moving forward.
Yeah, because you can have your customer base, but you do have to continuously grow it as well. And the biggest thing is just finding that connection. What's the spark? What makes it take off? What makes it ignite? Because if people don't remember you, they don't care. If they don't care, they won't buy, because it's almost always better, right? It's almost always the better financial decision to wait a little bit and see if something else falls in. Maybe not necessarily the case right now because there's so little inventory. It's kind of shifted the balance a little bit, but there's always going to be something else you could think about. There's tons of great brands. There's tons of dealership. There's tons of competition. You have to do something that separates yourself. And in this era where there's less TV advertising for dealerships, radio advertising is really dead. Newspaper advertising died years ago.
Unless you own a pet shop and you're going to line your cages with it. That's about it.
What are you doing to create something to make yourself different? You can do it. You can do it for free. You can do Facebook. You can do Instagram. You can do YouTube.
Absolutely.
You can do Twitter. Just anything that makes you a little bit different. And then you'll be surprised at how often you have something in common with who you're talking to, because there may be something that just catches, or maybe somebody sees the belt on your desk and they go, "Oh man, hey, that's neat. That guy's the champion. I want to go have him help me."
My emails from work, at the bottom of every one of my emails has a photo of me holding the title. I get more customers that can say, "What is that in your email? What is it?" I'm a fan of this. Yeah. I've actually brought customers to wrestling shows. I was on a test drive with these nice folks. Oh God, this is a great one. And Allegiant Stadium came up, and they're like, "Have you been there?" Like, yeah, I was there for Garth Brooks. That I'm planning on going. She was like, "Oh yeah, we were there too. We went to a couple events." I'm like, "What events?" She's like, "SummerSlam." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" She's like, "SummerSlam." I'm like, "Oh, I was there too." And we
Yeah.
just started. Next thing you know, they're sitting ringside with me at a show, one of the big casino shows, and even
Uh-huh.
afterwards, the boyfriend wanted to know what it was like to take a chop, so I set him up with Funny Bone, and Funny Bone laced him up. It was great. So I mean, it's you got to find that common ground and use that common ground.
Well, and just to be fair, I mean, it's not a bad path to take because the number 1 and the number 2 show on cable TV every single week are either WWE Raw or AEW Dynamite, and then there's plenty of activity, especially in your market. Heck, Impact was just there. I'm coming in for the UWW show at the House of Blues. So there's something going on all the time, and you can find those connections in your city too. If it's racing,
Oh my
if
goodness,
it's
everything.
dog shows, whatever, anything. Just pick something that you're interested in and that you're comfortable talking about, because you want to talk to customers as people. As soon as you can start talking like actual people and relate to the customer as a person, you're light
Absolutely.
years ahead, because then you're getting away from that's the sales weasel. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to tell them anything. And you're getting into something that people like talking about. And you'd be surprised what connections you can get from 1 or 2 sentences, and how it
Keep
just
it light,
totally
keep it
changes.
fluffy.
Hmm.
Get away from that. Like you said, it can be a freaking knitting circle. Doesn't matter. Maybe your grandma crocheted. The lady comes in and she's sitting there. She's got a little bat. You know, keep your eyes open. Also, people will come in wearing items that you can pick up on. Have a little bit of nugget about it. A little bit of everything out there. See a belt buckle. Oh, he's a rodeo rider. Okay, might have a little tidbit of something about that, but just like you said, you gotta differentiate yourself. You can't just be the guy with the big gold medallion, the chest hair out, the collar out, and you come here, little lady.
Yeah.
You can't be the sleazeball. You've gotta differentiate. Show that you got a heart.
Well, no, because then you're being too much like Grady the sales badger. If have you ever watched those? You don't want to be like Grady. That's not good. But you know, being observant, that's a good point too. Being observant of people. It's amazing how many times I've walked up and said, "Wow, hey, what's it like working for Cerner? That's interesting." And the salesperson would go, "Did you know they work for Cerner? They have a name badge in their car."
T-shirt or something.
Yeah,
Correct.
name
You
name
never.
badge in their car. They have the license plate for the school their kids go to. Well, little things that make it look like, wow, hey man, they're really paying attention. They really care. They want to know. And those little things can make a huge difference.
It does. Someone comes in with a license plate frame or a license plate that says veteran. It has some kind of some people go really overboard. You know, I'm going to show how proud I am that you're military. Really overboard. Me, I simply just like to shake their hands and say thank you.
Yeah.
Um, if I happen to know from if they have USAA insurance, when you run the copy of their insurance, it'll tell you their rank. You know, my grandfather, my mentor, my dad, my uncle, all military. So if I know their rank without asking, I'll address them by that or by sir or something like just something small, but differentiate yourself. You got to talk to the Gen Xers one way, and the little old lady and her husband the other way. You got to be that chameleon and be able to turn it different ways, but showing interest and actually connecting. Like you said, the name, is the I think the key. It's all about what you bring to the table, and you got to make sure you bring every tool you can.
And I'm sure you'll be able to relate to this. what surprises me sometimes is I'll just be because I've sold or managed at dealerships in this immediate area for about 20 years, and just walking around at a store or at a movie or something, I'll have somebody walk up to me and go, "Oh, hey, Gerald, man, it's good to see you again." And honestly, I have no idea who they
Idea.
are, no idea. But the answer is always, "Oh, yeah, it's great to see you again. How you doing? Oh,
Absolutely.
remember when you helped me out with that Dodge Avenger? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I do. Great. You still have it? Yeah, I do. It's awesome. Terrific.
Right. Good to hear.
So that makes you feel great, right?
It does, but I run into it two different ways. Because of the fact that I'm so known here on the wrestling scene, I'll walk into an event and I'll have someone come up and say, "Hey, Garth," they shake me, and I've shook people saying, "Yeah, yeah." My wife's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "I don't have the slightest clue."
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's work related or if it's wrestling related, but it's always, like you said, it's always the same answer. Great to see you too.
Yeah.
Did I never, do you have my new business card? I just got new business cards. Here you go. Whatever. I mean,
surprisingly, if you enthusiastically greet somebody, you don't need to know their name.
That's it. It just, unless they start getting into details and this, but I always just, like you said, I just stick to, yep, oh yeah, great, and the rest of the night you're like, who the hell is that?
If they get talking enough, you kind of remember it eventually.
So you just start, sooner or later, you're going to give me a nugget of information that's going to hit in the right spot back here. Like, oh, that's right. You were the guy that traded in this car. You had the bratty kids that ran around, but I was still nice to you. Showed them a magic trick. You got to have those in your toolbox, because you got to have either the mind games or the magic tricks in your back pocket to keep kids occupied, because they will kill a car deal faster than anything.
Sure. And then you just have to get the customers to ask. You want all the people in your community to ask, who better than Garth? You can
nobody.
You can use the old Canyon and
that's right.
Who better? So, any other? So we're kind of winding down here. What would be the one thing that you've changed to adapt to the limited inventory that we're dealing with now?
One thing I've done is I have gone the days of standing outside waiting for the walk-up are gone.
Yeah, bad idea.
I market myself across all the platforms I can. I will pull inventory from our dealership. I will pay to put them on either OfferUp or one of these other, sites where I advertise the car, but advertise my information below it. You want it so it almost looks like a private seller, but it's not. Mm-hmm. They can tell it's a dealership, but I'm the point of contact. I don't want them to call the store number. I want them to call my personal number. It's just been the biggest thing is it's product knowledge. You've got it because you don't have it in front of you to show. I'm going to bring a customer in. It's like buying a car on Amazon, but they're in person. They're going to sit down. I'm going to try and convince them to give me $30,000 to $50,000, and I'm going to show them a piece of paper, a copy of a window sticker. That's it. They're going to want to know. You can't do the. Well, does it have this? And you cheat and you look over the car. Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it's on a piece, but you got to know your product. If you don't, you got to be able to describe anything that they want to know about that product, how it works, how it'll affect their lives, feature benefit. You got to be able to do that from a piece of paper. And these folks then will give you a deposit, and in a month, 3 weeks, 2 months, it'll show up, and it has to be what you represented. And that's the key. I think that's been some of our guys have really excelled at that. And we've got some that are really stumbling. And it seems like the ones that are really stumbling, believe it or not, are the younger ones. And they're the tech savvy. Us old gristle vets. I mean, we've been through it all. I mean, we remember what it was like when we first saw computers and we first done this and that. So we know how to. It's just another, fork in the road for car sales. For those of us who've been doing it a long time, but some of these younger folks, being tech savvy now, they've relied too much on, what they see in front of them. But
Well,
that's been me.
and you know what? Really, the last few years prior to this, so go say 15 to 19, you were selling the payment more than you were selling the car because the cars were everywhere.
Correct.
Now you have to go back to selling it. Like I said, you have to know what you're talking about and say it convincingly. Because if you don't captivate it in a convincing way, people are going to assume you're lying. So yeah, no, very, very true. It's definitely been a challenge, and I definitely want to thank you for all the insight and really showing that you can build your own brand. Because how many wrestlers or people in the wrestling community do you think you've sold a car to?
Okay.
I don't know if you count it.
I can run down just the wrestlers themselves. Member of the Bullet Club, Chris Bay, brought his brother in. Chris Bay's brother is customer.
Yeah,
Another wrestler from the wrestling scene out here, Damian Drake. He's driving a car courtesy of me. Um, let's see, the Red Snapper had him. Oh man, probably another 5 or 6, and then fans are everywhere. But but these guys they know. These are guys that wrestle with big companies. I've that when they start to get their money up, I know they're going to come see me,
yeah,
and they're talking to other people within that same thing. So I'd probably say there's at least a dozen or so active wrestlers that are driving cars with that I've put them in, and fans and friends of fans and word of I couldn't even count those. That's the one thing that part I couldn't put a dollar amount up versus what I've spent. I couldn't even
yeah.
put what my return would be on that.
And
It's been outrageous.
And what that does, and the reason why it's so important to anyone that's thinking, well, hey, what can I do? If you have a base where you're going to sell 8 to 10 cars a month just from that base, just by showing up, just by doing something you like to do, now you've already got 8 to 10 cars. You're already making a $50,000 a year living just from that, from doing nothing
Correct.
except something you like to do. Now,
Enjoying your hobby.
Now, just do an average job. Just sell another 8. You're over 100,000. Not that
Yeah.
bad. And hey, Garth, everybody watching, they can subscribe to the Wrestling with Sales channel on YouTube. Got plenty of different ideas on there. There's an hour on there with an interview with a personal trainer who does sales training to get you into selling shape, not ring shape. You don't have to go 60 minutes, but you have to be able to make it through the day and have energy to sell something. That's on there. How to be a sports entertainer, how to be a sales entertainer, how to get the customer to acknowledge me.
There it
All
is.
on there. You can follow it. It's on YouTube. Brought to you by our friends at Montway Auto Transport. And you can also check out Las Vegas wrestling scene on YouTube. We're going to be talking with a member of the Las Vegas wrestling stratosphere
Great wrestler
this week, Rochelle Riveter, the MOM. She's going to be on talking about her work in FSW and Rocky Mountain Pro and coming up on UWW. And the new episodes hit every Wednesday, so you can follow it and send any comments, any suggestions for things you'd like to hear, and reach out to Garth. Garth, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me, obviously, I'm across the Facebook, Instagram, but the best way to reach me is just pick up the phone and call. And that's my direct number is 702-955-5582. You can reach me on that 24/7. It's either on my hip, in my pocket, or next to my head. I don't go anywhere without it. But again, I'm located at Finley Mazda, which is 7760 Eastgate Road in Henderson, Nevada. just off the Vegas Strip. We're right there in the Valley Auto Mall. The Finley organization, over 60 years, 37 stores across like 5 states. We take care of our people. We treat you like family. But that's, you know, you could always message me, like I said, on Facebook. I return everything. I answer all calls. I don't care if it says scam. I'm going to answer it, find out who it is first before I hang up. So you'll always be able to get a hold of me.
And if somebody's giving them a bad deal, you have a chair shot waiting for them, right?
That's right. And Gerald, if you would mind for a second, I also wanted to show this to the
Sure.
folks. These are some shirts that I've had made. Eat,
nice.
sleep, sell cars, repeat. I also have ones that say eat, sleep, watch wrestling, repeat. The reason why I show them is that all proceeds of the sales of those shirts go to a great cause, and that's for suicide prevention.
Great.
I unfortunately lost my grandfather and mentor in the business to suicide several years ago. It's a real disease, but the shirts can be found on thoughtscountanywhere.com. And again, 100% of the proceeds go to prevent suicide here in Southern Nevada. So with that being said, that's my shameless plug right there. That's the one I want to put out there.
It's excellent, and we'll repost that on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and
awesome.
Put a mention of it on the YouTube page as well. So let's get that out there. And then, just in closing, when you're selling cars, if somebody says, "Hey, it's about the interest rate, it's about the payment, it's about this," at the end of the day, it really always comes down to the payment, because that's the price that people pay. They pay the payment. So,
correct.
In the words of the immortal Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, everybody's got a problem.
Hey, gang, if you want to get the best value for your buck, you got to go to Finley Mazda. That's Got Garth. Hashtag Got Garth. You know why? Because the $1 Million Man says so. You know why? Because everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
And Garth, thanks again for joining us, and we'll have more coming up next week. And you can subscribe on YouTube, and then tune in as well and subscribe to Las Vegas Wrestling Scene, LVWS Confidential. Got Rachel Riveter and Jenny Santana coming up in the next week. Thanks again, Garth. Have a great week.
Thanks, Joe, for having me. You guys have a good one. Be safe out there.
Sure. Bye.